Hi, it's Jim here. I just wanted to let you know that Cybersecurity Today has been listed as number 10 on the FeedSpot list of Canadian news podcasts. Now, that's a real honor in a country like this, given the incredible quality of our competition from news production giants like the CBC. We'll take number 10 as a badge of honor. And this couldn't have happened at a better time because by this weekend, we'll see another number 10. We will hit 10 million downloads. If you want to see the full list of the others on the list, there's a link on our show notes at technewsday.ca or .com. Take your pick. And thank you to all of you who've made this possible. And now, back to our regularly scheduled programming. Nvidia becomes the first GPU maker to be hit by Rowhammer-style attacks. Microsoft purges high-privilege access in Microsoft 365. PerfektBlue Bluetooth Flaw exposes 350 million cars. Police discover info leaked from a home device. And Elmo's X account is hacked. This is Cybersecurity Today. I'm your host, Jim Love. Nvidia is the first GPU vendor confirmed to be vulnerable to a Rowhammer-style bit flip attack, according to new research out of the University of Toronto. The team has demonstrated that Nvidia's GDDR6-based cards, including high-end models like the RTX A6000, can be exploited using a technique they call GPU hammer. Now, Rowhammer attacks exploit a flaw in how memory chips are physically structured. By rapidly and repeatedly accessing the same memory rows, attackers can cause electrical interference that flips bits in adjacent rows. Until now, this attack vector had only proven against system RAM. The University of Toronto research shows it can work against graphics memory too, marking a significant expansion of the threat surface. The proof-of-concept attack is complex, and it took the researchers months to develop, but the implications are serious. A single bit flip caused by an attack was enough to degrade an AI model's performance from 80% accuracy to just 0.1%, a catastrophic failure in any critical application. The attack doesn't require code execution on the host system. It can be triggered simply by sharing the same GPU in a multi-tenant environment, such as a cloud server. NVIDIA's response has been to recommend enabling error-correcting code, ECC, on affected GPUs. That feature can correct single-bit errors, but comes at a cost, roughly 10% performance loss and reduced usable memory. ECC is already standard on newer cards like the H100, but many widely used GPUs remain exposed. This marks a turning point. What was once seen as a DRAM-level threat is now a GPU-level concern, especially for AI and cloud workloads that rely heavily on shared hardware. The researchers have published a detailed paper outlining the technique, and there is a link in the show notes at technewsday.com or .ca. We've been critical of Microsoft when we think they deserved it, but it feels a lot better to be able to say when a company gets things right. And I think this time, Microsoft is on the right track. Microsoft has quietly removed more than 1,000 high-privilege service connections inside Microsoft 365, targeting the root causes of security risk rather than layering on more patches. The move is part of the company's Secure Future initiative and marks a shift away from reactive fixes towards architectural hardening. At issue is overprivileged service-to-service access. In complex cloud environments, internal apps often retain broad, unnecessary permissions, such as the ability to impersonate users or access entire datasets across Office, Teams, and SharePoint. And these pathways represent high-value targets if an attacker gains access. Microsoft's Overhaul replaces these permissions with a strict least privilege model. This means services are now granted only the minimum access required to function and nothing more. This reduces the blast radius of a breach and helps prevent lateral movement, where attackers can use one compromised entry point to spread through a system or network. The remediation effort involved over 200 engineers and included deprecating legacy protocols, enforcing tighter scopes like sites.selected instead of sites.read.all, and implementing ongoing monitoring to detect regressions. Unlike the patch-heavy cycles common in commercial software, this effort tackled design-level flaws. It's the kind of behind-the-scenes work that rarely gets attention, but can make a big and measurable difference in real-world resilience. Researchers at PCA Cybersecurity have discovered a 4-bug exploit chain code-named PerfektBlue in the widely used Blue SDK Bluetooth stack. These vulnerabilities, tracked as CVE 2024-45431 through CVE 2024-45434, can be chained together to achieve remote code execution with just a single click, the user approving a pairing request. Blue SDK is embedded in roughly 350 million vehicles, including Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, Skoda, and possibly Ford, and over 1 billion devices spanning industrial, medical, mobile, and consumer markets. Exploitation enables full control of infotainment systems, eavesdropping on interior voices, stealing phone contacts, GPS tracking, and potentially planting persistent malware that spreads beyond the Bluetooth range. It requires close proximity, 5 to 10 meters. Bluetooth pairing has to be active, and the user or system has to approve the device, although some vehicles auto-approve or initiate pairing without ignition. And even if the ignition isn't on, attackers could still install malware that survives and communicates remotely once the vehicle connects to networks. Open Synergy patched Blue SDK in September 2024, 3 months after disclosure in June, but updates haven't necessarily reached all OEMs yet. Volkswagen is currently investigating, claiming the complexity of the prerequisites limit exploit feasibility and that critical safety systems like steering and braking remain insulated. But PerfektBlue highlights an often overlooked IoT reality. A single Bluetooth stack flaw can ripple across millions of devices and even vehicles. The mix of user interaction can require social engineering, but the stakes include physical security, data theft, and persistent malware risk. OEMs and downstream integrators must verify patch deployment, and users should treat Bluetooth pairing requests with a lot of suspicion. And in Fredericton, the capital of the Canadian province of New Brunswick, a police officer has been cleared of wrongdoing after a personal computer, once used to access law enforcement systems, was found in a dumpster and ended up exposing sensitive police data. The Serious Incident Response Team, CERT, New Brunswick's civilian oversight agency, concluded its investigation last week, and it found no criminal intent or breach of trust on the part of the officer, despite the fact that case-related documents from the Fredericton Police Force were discovered in the hands of a suspected drug dealer during an unrelated drug probe. The suspect claimed he recovered the device from a dumpster. Investigators confirmed the desktop was previously used by the officer and had been thrown away by the officer's spouse. Although the device was not part of the police department's official equipment inventory, it had been used for both personal and work-related tasks. CERT determined that the officer was unaware that the computer had been improperly discarded and had no knowledge it had landed in the possession of a suspect, so no charges will be filed. But while this incident doesn't rise to the level of criminal misconduct, it highlights a persistent and under-addressed threat in law enforcement and in other places where improper disposal of personal or crossover use devices, when hardware used for official purposes, whether sanctioned or not, is thrown out without proper data sanitization, the risk to investigations, confidential sources, and public trust becomes substantial. The Fredericton Police Force has since updated its internal policies around device use and disposal, but the broader issue remains. Home and personal technology, if not properly secured and decommissioned, can become a very effective open back door. On Sunday, the official X, formerly Twitter, account for Elmo was compromised. The verified account was used to broadcast a flurry of offensive content, anti-Semitic slurs, racist statements, profane insults aimed at Donald Trump, and a call for the release of Jeffrey Epstein's related files. Sesame Street quickly confirmed the breach, condemned the posts, and said the account had been secured and control restored. However, the offensive messages remained live for about 30 minutes, time enough for screenshots to go viral. So outside of the fact that it's Elmo, why does this matter? Well, high-profile platform vulnerability. The incident underscores how even beloved, verified accounts can become vectors for hate speech and misinformation, especially on platforms like X, which have faced criticism for weakened moderation. It also comes on the heels of extremist content generated by X's AI chatbot Grok, which recently posted anti-Semitic and glorified extremist rhetoric before it was corrected. Details of how the account was accessed haven't been published. Common vulnerabilities could include password reuse, phishing, brute force attacks, or compromised third-party apps, but the reality is we don't know. But regardless of the method, the incident highlights ongoing security gaps, even for high-profile brand accounts. This breach illustrates two critical cybersecurity lessons. One, strong account security controls, unique complex passwords, hardware-backed multi-factor authentication, and frequent review of connected apps. All of these are essential, especially for high-profile accounts. And rapid incident response, timely detection, deletion of malicious content, and regaining control can help limit reputational damage, but it can't undo viral spread once screenshots exist. The Elmo incident is a stark reminder: no account is safe. For brands and institutions, even verified profiles require enterprise-grade security measures. Regular audits, hardened access controls, and fast containment protocols aren't optional, they're essential. After all, nobody wants to have their kids come and tell them, "Hey, look, Dad, Mom, Sesame Street was sponsored by new letters, F and U." That's our show. And as we move on to our next 10 million downloads, help us. Tell a friend, share the podcast with others, and yeah, we still need your donations at technewsday.com or .ca and click donate. And thank you to everyone for your support in this incredible milestone. I'm your host, Jim Love. Thanks for listening.